everyone, it's Amber, and today I'm going to be doing my April wrap-up and May TBR. So this month I actually read like 5 books, which is pretty good because last month in March I had like literally no motivation to read, so I read like I didn't even read 2 books. I read like 1 book and it was for school. So let's just get into the 5, I think, books that I read in April. So the first thing that I read in April was City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. This was a reread. A ton of the books that I read in April were rereads. You guys will see. This one I read for our Cassandra Clare read-along, and I really enjoyed this one. This is one of my favorite ones in the series. Our book of the month for April was Clockwork Angel, which I'll get into in a minute. And this was our March book of the month, but I finished it in April, so I'm counting it as an April book. And I listened to this on audiobook, and the audiobooks of this aren't that great, but it's a different reading experience than it was the first time, so I did like the experience of listening to it, but I preferred reading it physically. Obviously, I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read in April was also a reread. We're 2 for 2 with rereads so far. That is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I loved this book, and it was so fun rereading it for the first time, especially since I've already read A Court of Mist and Fury, and I know some of the moments in this and how they translate into the second book and what they now mean to me. And some of the characters in this, wink, Reese, you get so much more out of them now that you've already read the second book. And I just adore this series and adore this book, and this of course was a 5 out of 5 stars. I physically read this. I didn't listen to the audiobook, which was interesting because I don't think I've reread a book without listening to the audiobook before. So this is my first actual like physical reread, and I really loved rereading this. I just love these characters. I skipped a lot of the moments between Feyre and Tamlin because I'm not a fan of that ship. I can't believe at one point that I was a fan of that ship. I used to like look up fan art for Tamlin and Feyre, and that really disgusts me now, and I don't even want to talk about it. So how predictable am I? The next book that I read was also a reread, and it was also in the Court of Thorns and Roses series, and it was Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I love this book. I forgot, well, I didn't forget how much I loved it, but like I kind of forgot how much I loved it. I love this book so much, and now I just feel so inclined to just buy every single piece of fan merchandise that there is out there for this series and for this book, because it was just so amazing. I just love the inner circle, and I love Reese, and I love Feyre, and I just love this world, and I'm so excited for ACOWAR. And I think by the time this video goes up, maybe, depending on how fast I edit this, ACOWAR is probably going to be out, and I'm probably going to be reading it. But anyway, I loved rereading this. I tabbed it all. I felt all the feels again, and I cried at the end again, which is so weird because I never cry at the end of books, but yet this book I cried in the first time and I cried the second time. But this I gave like a bajillion stars. If I could give it as many stars as you could humanly possibly give it, then I would. Oh, and if you didn't know, I'm doing a series on my channel called ACOWAR Week. It might already be over by the time I upload this video, but if you guys didn't get a chance to watch it, there are tons of fun videos in it, and I had so much fun filming all of those. I did like my top 5 favorite moments from A Court of Mist and Fury and A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I did some like tag videos and my predictions for ACOWAR, which if you've already finished it, you can go back and see if my predictions were correct or if I am completely horrible at guessing what's going to happen in books. So definitely go check out ACOWAR Week if you haven't already. I will link it in the I button if you guys are interested. The next book that I read in April was the first book on this wrap-up that is not a reread, and that is Beloved by Toni Morrison. I read this for school. It's kind of intertwines ghosts into... The writing is very poetic and very beautiful, and the story is beautiful itself too. I read it for school. I gave it like a 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read, I tried to read after I finished A Court of Mist and Fury, and I really was not in the mood for it, so I DNF'd it for now, but I'm going to finish it later because I did enjoy what I read, but I just was not feeling it after reading A Court of Mist and Fury, and that is The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. I do really want to read this series at some point, but right now I'm just not in the mood for it. It took a long time to get to the action, and I'm still not into the action. I got 70 pages in and there still hasn't been like the amount of action that I want, so I put this down for now, but I'm going to pick it up again later. It's about this girl, and she's a princess, and she runs away on her wedding day, and two people chase her. One is this assassin that was sent to kill her, and the other one is a prince that she was supposed to marry. But as the reader, you don't know which one's which is the interesting part about this book. But I'm just not in the mood for this right now, so I'm going to pick it up again later for sure, because I did enjoy what I read. The last book in my wrap-up is The Iron King by Julie Kagawa. I really enjoyed this. This was like the perfect thing to read after Akamath, but this was kind of like a Jennifer L. Armentrout book, and if you've read Jennifer L. Armentrout before, you know that her books are so addicting and they're just so fun, and this was like that, but it was mixed with like fae and fairies, and it was just so much fun. There were so many cool creatures in it that I'd never read about before, and it featured some characters from Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream in it, and that was really cool too. It just really felt like a mix of Sarah J. Maas very, very lightly and Jennifer L. Armentrout. It's one of those addicting series that's like a paranormal romance type of feeling, and I really, really enjoyed this, and I'm going to continue on with the rest of the series because it's so much fun, and I think it's the perfect thing to read after ACOTAR or Akamath or Akawar. So those are all of the books that I managed to read in April. I'm pretty proud of myself. I read much more than I did last month, and I read a lot of rereads, which is new for me because I never really reread books, but I guess now this year I've been starting to do that, which was one of my main goals for 2017, so I'm really happy about that. So May is kind of a busy month for me. A lot of things are happening in May, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to read a ton. I first of all have 3 AP exams in a row actually starting tomorrow, so that's going to be pretty busy, and I have a lot of like end of the year projects for school, and I'm a senior, so I get out early, so I'm getting out at the end of May. That whole period of time is going to be pretty busy for me, but I'm looking forward to getting out of school and to all the things that are happening. And in June I graduate, and I'll be out in June and be able to read so much, and I'm super excited. And the main thing on my TBR for May is, of course, if you couldn't guess, A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. This book comes out literally in 2 days, and I'm so excited. I'm filming this on the Sunday before it comes out, and I'm beyond excited. I have no words. So I will be reading that, and usually when a book comes out that I'm like really excited for, and I've been excited for a long time, I like to like drag it out. So this will probably take me like a week or 2 to read if I decide to stretch it out. Then I have some other books that I'm going to pick up after that I know won't be too much for me to read after Akawar. So actually these are all ones that I've already started, so I'll be into them by the time I finish Akawar, which, why have I planned all this out for Akawar? Like, I know I'm going to be in so much pain after it, and I just like planned this all out so that I would minimize the damage to my reading. Anyway, the first one I started was Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. It's very lighthearted, it's middle grade, everyone's heard of it. It's Percy Jackson, and I'm really liking it so far. It's super fun, and I was originally listening to the audiobook, but I'm not really into the audiobook at the moment, so I started physically reading it from the beginning. I'm really loving it. I like these new characters, but I'll really miss Percy. Next on my list is The Iron Daughter by Julie Kagawa. This one is the second one in the series of the Iron Fae series, and the first one I read in April, so I'm planning on continuing the series in May. I'm about 30 pages into this one, and I'm enjoying it so far, and I've heard that the second and third one are way better than the first one, and I really enjoyed the first one, so I'm very excited to see how the next two turn out because I am really liking the series so far. It's super fun, so I'm looking forward to getting further into this one, and this will be a good thing after A Court of Wings and Ruin because it's about fairies and it's very magical. And the last thing that I'm going to put specifically on my TBR is going to be Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. This is a reread for me. This is for the Cassandra Clare read-along. This was our April book, but we're not doing the live show until June or the end of May. And hopefully also reading the second one, which is Clockwork Prince, and I'm listening to them on audiobook, so I'm hoping to be able to get through those both in May. So that concludes my wrap-up and TBR for April and May. I can't believe we're already this far into the year. It's really insane. I feel like I just did my January videos. I would love to hear what you guys read in April and what you guys are going to read in May. And I know a lot of you are probably going to be reading A Court of Wings and Ruin with me. Future videos, if you guys are interested, I'm planning on vlogging while reading A Court of Wings and Ruin. so definitely stay tuned for that. So probably going to be doing a vlog, review, all that stuff. So if you have any requests, leave them down below. I am going to have a lot more time in June to film, and probably May I'm going to have a lot more time, so definitely let me know what you want me to do. So if you guys like this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up because it really supports my channel, and you can also subscribe down below if you want to see more of my videos, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!